we want to recognize you guys, a special tribute for setting the historic run that you did. Just give us your name, where you're from, and just 1 minute memory about that first run.
Okay, Richard Rust. I'm originally from Clear Lake, South Dakota. I'm living in either Ohio. I spent my time in Ohio and Colorado. And I remember we didn't take that race very seriously. We just out for fun of it. So.
You were lollygagging and Lyle was taking it serious, huh? Okay, let's just pass it down.
I'm Jim McCormick, and we're from Oneida, Wisconsin, near Green Bay. And one of the things I remember, and the coaches may remember this too, but they were taking mile times. And at 1 mile, it was probably near 11 or 12, they missed Orris Swayze. And he didn't show up, and he didn't show up. And then finally, at about 14, 15 minutes, he showed up with freshly baked cookies. And he stopped at a farmhouse and got some cookies from the farm.
I'm Lyle Koistinen, twin brother of Richard, of course. And I tell people that over the last 3 years, I've lost about 40 pounds, and I'm still the fat twin. We live in Leesburg, Virginia, outside of Washington, and we used to live in a 1790 house, but now we moved up to a new one, which was built in 1840.
Kleinjan. I didn't get very far from home. I live 4 miles north of White, so I get to see the start of all the Jackrabbit 15s now. I ran it once. I'm smarter than some of the rest. I can't.
Hello, I'm Lyle Koistinen, and I'm originally from Lake Norton, South Dakota. Now I live in Sturgis, South Dakota, and like I said, this was an inter-squad race, and I was there, and I happened to come in first, but if I'd been wearing a red shirt with a little coyote on it, I know these other people would have been way in front.
Kleinjan, I'm from Volga. I've moved from 4 miles north to 2 miles south of town in my life. I remember when I quit running, I didn't finish it. I ran 13.5 miles. My glove on my right hand was froze stiff.
I'm Jay Dirksen. I'm from Madison, South Dakota, General Beale High School. Nobody knows where that's at unless you're really old. And let's see what else. I live in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, and play a lot of golf and cut a lot of trees down.
I really don't know what to say. Geez, you guys have aged. Dave Graves said that some of the guys would come back, and I didn't know. I knew Ori had died, and I know Al Morton had died, and I didn't know about some of the others. But he said they were coming back, and I figured out they'd have to be over 80 years of age, aren't you? 77. Well, anyway, I got thinking about those guys. If they're 80, how old are we? I'm 87, so. The only thing I think it might be, I've got a Kleinjan story, but I shouldn't tell that one probably, but yes, I'm going to anyway. Mankato, we were running, hopefully, as a dual meet. I couldn't forget this, but dual meet seemed like one of those 15, 27, 28 scores, if you know anything about cross country. A pusher could push somebody back, and so he was up in the front. Tell me if I'm wrong, but there was a guy from Mankato who was pretty good. He was running with him. About 200 yards from the finish line, I was out there, and our other guys were back, but these two were duking it out. And suddenly John stops with 200 yards to go. And he said, "Look at that." And the guy stopped, and he looked, and John goes, like he had it shooting a pheasant. And the guy said, "I'll be darned, done," and he beat him. And I think we won 27-28. I mean, that was really, the thing I think that might be of interest to you is, after that was over, it was never billed as a race. It was just to see, guys, we didn't run 15 miles at the time in those days. I just wanted to see if they could do it. And they did it, and so Buddy Evelyn was a kind of an interesting friend. I'd watched him run at the Drake relays, and I wrote to him. He was over in England training because he couldn't find anybody good enough in the United States to stay with him. So I corresponded with him. But when I found out he won the Olympic trials by 15 minutes, I found out he's from Sioux Falls. I contacted him. I said, you know, we did a little 15-mile run. Would you want to come up? If we had, South Dakota never had a road race that I knew of anyway. So he said he would. 2,000 people are at the finish line to watch Buddy Edelman finish. And of course he did it very easily. He asked me after the race, was my form good? And I said, no, you were across your body. He says, well, when they give prizes for form, I'll worry about it. and so what happened then is I left, Jay took over, and I don't know exactly what happened, but the race stayed alive. I came back and ran in it 4 times. If you got one of those pictures, you got to see the picture in there. Our son was 2, or my wife says 3, and they had him a quarter mile from the finish. And I was finishing the white thing, trying to average 6:30, and I was tired. And she said, he wants to ride on your back. So I put him on my shoulders, and there's a picture in that big book of, my hair was not gray then, it was black. But I was hurting, and we crossed the finish line with him on my shoulders. He's 57 years old now, and I wouldn't want to carry him. Thank you all for coming. It's like the Twilight Zone for me, to go around the campus and see things that I never saw before. So I know I've used more than a minute, but I came a long way.
Before you gentlemen take your seats, Mr. Manchin, Coach Manchin here, has come across the original photo of the 1963 team. The smaller versions are in your program, but we're going to ask you guys to put your John Doe on yourself there before you sit down, and then after you do so, go ahead and take a seat.
Is that a marker?
This magic marker.
Okay, I got a blue one if we want to.
This is the black one.
That'll work.
It'll work. And you know, occasions like this, there's a lot of time for exaggerating the truth, but that really was a true story about Ori. So we've kind of continued that tradition. So at mile 12, there's chocolate chip cookies. So we call it the Swayze stuff.
Yeah, I got a good one.
Yes.
Sure.
I got to tell you one more thing. Is on the way up here, I went to Eastern Illinois in 1965, and I coached there for 35 years. And so on the way up, I was wearing an Eastern Illinois T-shirt, and I thought, I can't come and talk to Jack Rabbit people with an Eastern Illinois shirt. So hold this just a second. Eastern Illinois cross country.
And come on up if you hear your name. So Gary Miller, 10 times. Russ Strendy, I know Russ is here. 10 times. Bruce Miller, 10 times. Rick Hansen. Come on up if I called your name. Bob Ritter, I don't believe he's here tonight. Andrea Wickstrom is here. And Lorney's not with us. Lorney Bartling. Chuck, Lorney was 12 times. Andrea is 11 times. 12 times for Chuck McMillan, who's not with us. Jay Larson, 13 times. I'm sure he's out officiating tonight. He'll be out, of course, tomorrow. 13 times also, John Iverson. Charles Scotty Roberts, he's deceased, but 14 times. Jim Tefet, 15 times. And I've seen Jim here tonight. Tony Thorson, 16 times.
You better help me up the steps.
Is Tony here tonight?
Work like that, you know.
Okay. Wally Cleveter, 18 times. And we do have Randy Fisher, 21 times. Owen Hotvet, 27. And tomorrow will be Okay, Owen's number 3 on the list, Randy was number 4. Number 2 is Scott Jameson at 33. He has signed up, so he'll have 34 tomorrow. And take a guess who is number 1. Bob Bartley with 38. Bob, will you be out on the course tomorrow?
I'm sorry?
Will you be out on the course tomorrow, Bob?
With a bicycle.
All right, good. Are you gonna ride out to the first runner and then turn around and head back? Will you be riding out and meeting the first runner and then riding back?
Right.
All right.
No, the last
The
row.
last runner, okay. So Owen, I don't want that to be you, okay? All right, anyway, let's give these guys another hand.